Welcome to the Lean Lifestyle. My name's Ricky Brody, and I'm going to be talking about how to design the perfect program. So this is going to be broken down into 3 parts, just because otherwise I'll be rambling for an hour in one video, and I don't really want to be doing that. So what makes the perfect environment for progress, training, nutrition, and cardio? So these 3 variables are ones that are more so within your control, and they all play a specific role within your progress. Now, this is something that I've been working on for a very, very long time, and I've come to this sort of conclusion. So I want to put this out because I feel like if you can understand what each factor does for you and the feedback you should be getting from each part of the program, you can then create the perfect environment to progress and not get frustrated with the overall journey and focus on each concept, because that way you're going to be able to progress more, but also you're going to understand a little bit more about which one is doing what and what you should be looking for within each part of the system. So this is part 1. Part 1 is going to be training, something that we all know is a big part of our program, but understanding a little bit more about what you should be looking for within your program is going to lead to you selecting the right program, which is ultimately going to lead to you actually achieving your goals. Now, when it comes to your training, the main focus from this, which is the biggest takeaway I want you to get, is that training should be focused around your building of muscle or maintaining of muscle, not the calorie output. The goal shouldn't be to be sweating loads or anything like that when it comes to training. Your main focus should be a consistent workout routine that's going to provide you with the stimulus to maintain or build muscle during your fat loss journey. Now, although of course training does contribute to your calorie output, this shouldn't really be the main focus of your training, because this often leads to people making up workouts as they go along, doing more than what they should do, and then falling off the wagon. And what I mean with this is, if your goal from your training is to achieve a certain calorie output, but yet you don't, that can then lead to you doing more exercises, doing more sets, reps, different advanced training principles, rather than just actually going in, hitting a target muscle, getting the feedback you need, creating a stimulus, and then progressing in your following session. It's very difficult to progress when you're constantly moving variables about. So when you go into your training program, your main focus should just be stimulating the muscle, looking to progress, building muscle, maintaining muscle, or whatever your goal is at that point with regards to muscle. Like I say, you shouldn't be expecting to be sweating loads from your workout. And although some programs are designed for this, I'm just going off my personal experience with myself, clients. Once I got my head around this and started to realize what I should be looking for within my training, I started seeing much better progress. My physique, my muscle mass, my ability to train, my excitement for training, because I wasn't going in there looking to just completely blast myself and burn as many calories as possible. Fully aware that it contributes to it, but it shouldn't be the prime thing that you should be looking to do when it comes to your training. Now, obviously, there are training principles or programs that work towards this, something like CrossFit or something like that, bound to create massive feedback when it comes to your cardiovascular system, your calorie output and stuff like that. But for majority of us, we just follow straightforward training programs, and this is really important because if you don't understand this, it's quite possible that you're going to go for an advanced training program when it's not actually necessary for you. So key things to implement: find a training program that's suitable for you. And this is why it's important to find something that is a beginner's program for a beginner and an advanced program for someone who's advanced. You as a beginner training or using an advanced program isn't necessarily going to create more muscle than something that a beginner program could do, because at the end of the day, it's all down to your body stimulating the muscle and recovering. If you're doing an advanced training program and you're fairly new to the gym, or you've not been very consistent, or you've just decided to train, if you was to use an advanced training program, you will probably fatigue quite quickly, which if you watch my other video about fitness and fatigue, you'll find out more, and not actually progress. Also, one of the biggest things I implement and my mindset towards is get the most out of as little as possible. If you're new to training, just doing a consistent training program that's very basic and very focused on a few muscles per workout or a few exercises is going to give you that stimulus that you need for you to actually progress from where you're at now. It's about progressing from where you're at now. So look at the long-term journey, and if you're able to progress doing a couple of exercises each workout and your main goal from training is to build muscle, then you know that you're in a good place with it. It also depends like what your routine's like, what your lifestyle's like. You know, some people can get quite anxious about going to the gym. So if you're this sort of person, you're looking at an advanced training program that's got giant sets, super sets, all these advanced exercises, it's probably not going to allow you to stay consistent, which is then going to lead to you not necessarily achieving your results. Whereas, you know, I work with a lot of beginners. I give them straightforward programs that consist of a lot of machine-based stuff, very minimal dumbbell exercises or barbell exercises or anything that could potentially put them off, like a hack squat machine. If you are in this position, then going for something very simple like leg press or something can quite easily set you up to consistently train. So take that into consideration. And just as an example with regards to like a training program, if you're doing something like push-pull legs and you end up missing legs quite frequently, or you do like a push day and you should do a pull day the next day, but you can't because you've got something going on in your life or whatever, your routine doesn't suit it, you then start to miss critical or important sessions that can allow you to continue to progress. So you doing push-pull legs, but yet you miss, just so your goal is to train 6 days a week and you end up missing one push workout, one leg session. That week you've done 2 pull sessions, 1 leg and 1 push. So it can massively limit the ability to progress because you start to begin to get frustrated and you're only hitting a muscle group once a week, which obviously we know that training frequency is quite important. If you was to switch to something like a full body workout, this now puts you in a position where, say you train once and then you have 2 days off because of whatever reason, and then you train again, and then you have another 2 days off, and then you train again. Over that week, you've then hit every muscle group 3 times. And this obviously puts you in a much better place to progress, takes away the stress, which I've been there before. You know, I've been in positions where I've missed certain muscle groups, certain days, and this has led me to feel a little bit disheartened and frustrated. Whereas when I started doing full body training, I was like, I know for a fact that I'm going to get 3 sessions in as a minimum, and then anything on top of that is accessory. So you could potentially have a foundational workout where you're doing 3 full body sessions and then adding in like arms, shoulders, chest, back, whatever you want to do, upper, lower, whatever, wherever your goals may actually sit within that. So make sure you find a training program that's actually suitable for you. It definitely helps. Another factor is finding exercises that you actually enjoy. This is something that's so underrated. I find so many people are so committed to finding the best bang for the buck workout exercise. You know, oh, I need to do barbell squats, they're the biggest movement, the best development, or I need to be doing incline bench press, or I need to be doing this, whatever exercise it is. Focus on exercises you actually enjoy. You are going to use exercises that you might not find massively enjoyable, but you should be looking at exercises that you know that you will always go and do. As an example, rather than looking at doing a barbell squat because you don't like it, it's quite intimidating, or you don't actually enjoy it, you don't get much feedback, go and do something like a leg press. You know, it's focused on your lower body. That's what a machine is made for. This is going to allow you to consistently do this movement rather than every time you go into the gym start to think to yourself, oh, I don't want to do that, and you might steer away from doing it. You might do a different workout, a different exercise, and this can leave your whole system that you've got in place or your training program always mismatching, you know, and also not very enjoyable. So select exercises that you actually enjoy doing for target muscle groups that you can still progress on, and this will lead to much better results. Another thing to implement is tracking your workouts. It's so important to track your workouts. The reason for this is it allows you to actually see that you're progressing. Also, you'll find that when you go into the gym, you tend to think that you remember the movement that you did last time. And as a little example, if you're doing like sets of 8, 4 sets of 8, 3 sets of 8, and on that final set you manage to get 9 reps one week, you can quite easily then follow into the following week and do 2 sets on 9 reps. This is very easy to focus on. It's a very easy way to progress. But if you don't track your workouts, this will become a real struggle because more often than not, we don't actually have the capacity to remember what we've done on every single exercise and exactly what rep we've done, or even the feedback from it. Now, I've got a whiteboard. I don't know if you can see that there. On that whiteboard, I've got a list of exercises, a list of rep ranges, and then I put in what weight I've done before. So just as an example, if I'm doing something like a incline Smith machine, I know what reps I've done it for previously. I know how much the weight was, and obviously I know what the exercise is. This means that if I've done a certain weight for 10 reps, I can look, see it on the board, And if I feel like it's in there, I can go for 12 reps. Whereas beforehand, I might just come in, which I've done plenty of times in the past, just done exactly the same weight for exactly the same amount of reps, or sometimes done less weight for the same amount of reps because I wasn't exactly sure how many reps I did beforehand. If you're struggling for a way of progressing your weights, here is a very easy way for you to start your progress. This is a system that I use very frequently within my own training and my clients that just give them a basic approach to progression. Very easy to implement, it's very straightforward and hard to forget. It also allows you to get a good understanding of the progress you can make when you take each week as it comes and focus on just weekly progression. You don't have to do this on every exercise, but just having a progressive approach in place within your training can massively help. And obviously, this is only useful if you are tracking your workouts. A great thing to implement is actually using the data. So now that you're tracking your workouts, this is going to allow you to reverse engineer any issue you come across. So let's just say, for an example, you're training 5 times a week, and by the time it gets to the 5th session, you're really struggling. You can then look over your program and see, right, 4 sessions a week, I'm progressing really well, but when it gets to that 5th, I'm not really seeing the results I want, and it's actually becoming a bit of a struggle. You can look at, do I need to implement a rest day? Should I pull back my workouts? At the end of the day, 3 progressive sessions is definitely better than 5 that you're winging it and you're not quite getting the most from each session, because it can become a bit of a frustrating situation. A lot of it's not actually physical, it's mental. So when you start to see that you're not progressing or you're struggling with your sessions, it can have a knock-on effect to the other sessions that potentially happen the following week. So let's just say by the 4th and 5th session, you're not quite getting the feedback you're looking for. That can then affect your session on Monday when you go into a new week. Focus on the target muscle. It's so important. If you're doing an exercise that you do not feel the target muscle on, it might be worth dropping the weight or increasing the reps or changing the actual exercise itself. For me, a prime example of this is any flat bench, whether it's flat bench, dumbbell, Smith machine, whatever flat chest. The only exercise that I find I actually get a lot from when doing flat is a machine. So if there's a flat machine in there, that works really well for me. Anything else, I don't tend to get good feedback with regards to my chest. So for me, I tend to do a lot more incline work. And what that means for me is that I enjoy the exercise a lot more and I actually progress it a lot faster. But I get what I need from that movement. I don't feel it in my shoulders as much as what I do when I'm doing a flat movement, even though it is actually inclined. So technically, you should really feel it a bit more in your shoulders. But for me, I just find I'm able to set up a lot better on an incline movement to actually focus on my chest and that target muscle. This is the same for pretty much any exercise. A lot of people don't get on very well with barbell curls. Barbell bicep curls tend to feel a lot more on your more dominant bicep. So for example, if you're right-handed, a lot of people feel it more on their right arm than they do on their left, and they don't get a lot of feedback because they might feel it in their shoulders or back, lower back might be arching, something like that. So switch to something like dumbbells. Certain machines, you don't necessarily get the feedback. Focus on the target muscle at hand. And if this means that you do have a workout that is all based around machines because that's what you get the best from, that's fine. Like, focus on that. If you're doing a barbell bent over row because someone said it's the best thing for you, but you can't necessarily feel it very well in your back and it feels more in your biceps because of maybe your grip position, change your grip or switch to a seated row or something along those lines. Understand it's okay to not do a certain exercise. Focus on the muscle that you're trying to stimulate. Don't focus on the exercise because someone said it's the best exercise for you to do. You will have a much more enjoyable session when you're actually getting that good pump within the target muscle and you're feeling that connection. Obviously, this doesn't come straight away. You need to be doing an exercise consistently. You need to learn how to contract the muscles. But this happens a lot faster when you're doing an exercise that you enjoy, that you can actually feel it in, and that you're doing weights that are actually stimulating enough for you. Don't go too heavy. Control the movement and you'll get a lot more from it. Now, what should you be looking for within your training? Like I say, if you're tracking your workouts, you've got the right exercises, it's really important to now have an overview of what's going on. If you're progressing on certain lifts, that's perfect. That's where you want to be. You don't necessarily need to progress on every single lift, but be aware of some sort of progression. You want to be having something in place that allows you to progress, and checking over your workouts and actually going over the sessions from the last few weeks is going to give you so much information for you when moving forward. It doesn't even need to be the fact that you're progressing within regards to weight. It can just be the fact that you just control the movement a little bit more, get a little bit more of a feedback from that exercise. Pulls at the bottom, pulls at the top, actually feel more of a stimulus within your chest or your arms or your back or your legs or whatever you're doing, just focus on looking at these small points. With my clients, they obviously work through my fitness app, which I put all of their workouts onto. Within this session, they're also able to leave feedback in the comments. And one of the things I've noticed is that clients that leave the most feedback within these sessions, the small little details are the ones that tend to progress a lot faster because they're fully aware of what's happening. And it allows me to understand what's going on in their workout. I do this for myself in my own workouts. I make sure that I'm conscious of what's going on within the session. So when you're going over your workouts, look out for these little things that can allow you to actually have that self-awareness within your session and progress more frequently, or at least control the movement and make sure that you're consistent within your set. So just as a little roundup, your training should be focused around you building muscle, getting stronger, and developing more muscle endurance, not necessarily around the calorie output from that session in particular. This is going to allow you to focus on that aspect, meaning if your goal is to build muscle, if you're looking to actually achieve a certain athletic look, when it comes to issues within your muscle mass, you know that this is going to be mostly around your training. This is why it's good to have a clear goal. So if you want to design your program so that you build a bigger chest or more, bigger arms, shoulders, back, legs, understanding that your training is the key component to this. Yeah, your nutrition obviously plays a role, your recovery, all that sort of stuff. But we're going to go over those variables in following videos. But if you're not controlling your training and you're not tracking your workouts, it's going to be very difficult to know whether you're progressing or whether you're able to actually build a certain amount of muscle mass. Whereas if you're tracking your workouts, if you're tracking your sessions, if you're getting all this positive feedback, you can then make adjustments for you to actually build more muscle or at least maintain your muscle mass. Understand that, it's really important, it's so key. Training is about the muscles, working the muscles, not about the calorie output side of things. This is something I get through to a lot of my clients. Not everyone has this struggle, but a lot of people do. When you start to realize and develop the understanding that your training is based around stimulating the muscle and getting that feedback of growth, progression, stronger, more muscle endurance, better control, more consistency within the exercises because you're doing them consistently, it's a skill. It's not about just burning calories. I hope this helps. There's a lot of things in there, I know, but these are the key components that I've noticed have worked. And when I started to understand these variables, my training excelled massively. I didn't stress about it as much. I just focused on the workout and the exercises that I enjoyed, the muscle groups I like training, controlling the weight, focused on the stimulus, the feedback. My physique changed a lot faster and I was able to control this variable because I knew what was contributing to it, and that was my training, and then obviously nutrition and stuff as well, but we'll go over that. But focus your training around muscle mass, nothing else, okay? Once you get that concept, you'll fly with it. Hope this has helped. Any questions or anything, please leave a comment or drop me a message. Like the video, subscribe if you like this stuff. I'm going to be putting out a lot more. Like I say, this is part one. We're going to do training and nutrition. We're going to do nutrition. Like I say, this is part one. We're going to do nutrition and cardio as well, so that you can actually sit down and develop a program that's going to optimize your results and be the most effective and design the perfect program that's going to suit you and allow you to continue to progress.